Hi, I am Robin Phillips, and this is a detailed explanation of key components of the Students First Act of 2011 for IL 707 at the University of North Alabama. The purpose of the Students First Act is to improve the quality of public education in Alabama. This act repealed the Teacher Tenure Act, the Fair Dismissal Act, and Arts of the Teacher Accountability Act in Alabama. It also specifically ushered in a new system for teacher tenure. It grants due process to school employees with the purpose of increasing academic achievement, repealing the Teacher Tenure Act, and bringing in a new system for teacher tenure in Alabama. Who is covered and who is not covered? Well, under covered, it's basically classified full-time employees, such as superintendents, CEOs, bus drivers, C&P workers that are full-time, janitors, custodians, and in addition, teachers and classified employees. Not covered is employees who are covered by the state merit system, as well as employees who work less than 20 hours per week. What is protected? Employees who already have tenure keep it, and teachers can attain tenure by completing 3 consecutive years of employment with the same system. Non-renewals and terminations. Probationary classified employees who are not employees of a 2-year educational institution operated under the authority and control of the Department of Post-Secondary Education may be terminated according to the stipulations of the Students First Act at the discretion of the employer, with written recommendation from the superintendent and majority vote of the Board of Education. This must be done anytime before the 15th day of June, immediately after an employee's 3rd consecutive complete school year of employment. Reassignments and transfers. Under the Students First Act, employees may be transferred, reassigned, or transferred within the school system to a lesser paying job. Employees may be transferred at the recommendation of the superintendent. The superintendent or chief executive officer may reassign a teacher to any grade, position, or work location, such as a different school within the same school district. And this includes tenured teachers may be transferred within an agency or system. Terminations and certificate actions. Under the Students First Act of 2011, a teacher's certificate may be revoked for violations, and the teacher shall then be terminated. The state superintendent may reinstate a terminated teacher's certificate if there is an appeal and the conviction is overturned. Suspensions. If an employee is required to be certified for their position and their certificate has been revoked, denied, suspended, or forfeited, or the employee has been determined to be ineligible for such certificate or licensed by the licensing authority, the rights, remedies, and procedures provided by the Students First Act shall not apply or be available to such employees. Suspended employees may have other recourse provided by other legal statutes or departmental regulations, including but not limited to the Alabama Administrative Procedure Act. A tenured teacher or non-probationary classified employee may be involuntarily transferred to another position that provides for a lower rate or amount of pay or a shorter term of employment. These are partial cancellations, and also falling under this would be reductions in force. They're subject to specific terms and conditions, such as the notice of proposed transfer and subsequent proceedings, except for use in the term transfer, shall conform and be subject to the substantive and procedural standards and requirements that apply to termination of non-probationary employees. So this mention these transfers or reassignments that are made as a part of or as a consequence of or in conjunction with reductions in force authorized under Section 16-1-33 or in order to comply with state and federal law are not subject to challenge or review under this chapter. Whether or not such transfers or reassignments are to positions that provide for a lower rate or amount of pay for a shorter term of employment. I found an interesting source, the Alabama, it's the Council for Leaders in Alabama Schools, and according to this, their interpretation was to introduce the Students First Act to teachers, and it said their presentation said that the Students First Act provides that reduction in force or reduction in compensation or length of work are not terminations or transfers subject to challenge or review. To be a reduction in force or modification, to be a reduction in force or modifications to compensation, the following must apply. First of all, the reduction or modification must be prospective, not retrospective. Next, the reduction or modification must be based on a superintendent's recommendation. Then the board must vote to approve, and it can only be done if unavoidable reductions beyond normal attrition and due to decreased student enrollment or shortage of revenues. The board must have a written reduction in force policy, and it must be applied to similarly situated employees. And there is, as we have stated, no advance notice to the employee is required. There's no right to a board hearing, and no appeal right is granted to the employee. That comes from Section 6H. Here are my sources, my references. Thank you for your attention.